Answering the dreaded "What is your greatest weakness?" interview question is a real challenge, not only for our typical audience of accounting, finance, and accounts payable professionals, but for most people going on a job interview. Apparently, the "Are you for real?" response is not an acceptable answer, nor is replying with a non weakness such as "I work too hard and forget my other obligations." Trust me when I tell you that everyone can see right through that response. Because this is asked so frequently and it is a difficult question to answer intelligently without shooting yourself in the foot, I decided to do a bit of research to see how the experts would answer this question. Based on their insights, we've got some tips to help you navigate this treacherous question. Make sure you stick around until the end when we've got a great example anyone can use or adapt when they don't have all the job requirements for their dream job. Hey guys, I'm Mary Schaefer, founder of AP Now, your one-stop shop for cutting-edge business intelligence related to the accounts payable and payment functions, and that includes career issues. Today, we're focusing on an issue that impacts just about every single business professional. That awful "What is your greatest weakness?" question asked on too many job interviews. Now, personally, I think this is a really stupid thing to ask people. I mean, really? Do you think anyone is going to be totally honest and say things like, "I'm frequently late for work," or "I usually end up not getting along with my boss," or the myriad of other management nightmares most managers find themselves dealing with all too frequently? I don't think so. Be that as it may, this is a frequently asked question, and apparently, if you want the job, you are expected to take it seriously and answer it appropriately. So I'll stop my rant and try and provide the information you need to create a decent response. In case you haven't guessed, my eye rolling and theatrics is not the way to go. I did copious research to find the information presented here. By the way, another version of this, which you should also prepare for, is what would your current boss say is your greatest weakness? Whatever you choose as the weakness you will reveal, also include how you're going to work to fix it. So let's dive right in. Tip number one, when responding to the "What's your greatest weakness?" question, choose the weakness that will not prevent you from succeeding in the job you are applying for. So, for example, if you're in finance, accounting, accounts payable space, you really don't want to say something like, "I could use a little help with my analytical skills. I'm not that good with numbers." That might be fine if you're applying for a position as a guidance counselor or maybe in marketing, but not so much in finance and accounting. At a minimum, steer away from anything mentioned in the job requirements, although there is one exception, which we'll discuss towards the end of this talk. Tip number two, when responding to that awful "What is your greatest weakness?" question, share something you would like to improve, but again, not something that's critical to the position you're applying for. You should also include some thoughts again on how you're going to improve in this area. You might say, "I would love to improve my public speaking skills. I've joined Toastmasters to gain more confidence in public speaking." Or, "I've never really had to use pivot tables, but I do think they could be useful in analyzing data. So I've been teaching myself how to create them and working with some of our accounts payable data." Something like that. Okay. Tip number three, try taking this tact when responding to that obnoxious "What is your greatest weakness?" question. Think about a weakness that you have in your personal life. Can you reuse that here? Now, you can't say something like, "I'm a lousy quick cook," because that wouldn't work in most cases. But here are a few that might be manipulated somewhat into working for you professionally without doing too much damage to you, the prospects of you getting a job. Okay, and I made a list. I'm an introvert. Sometimes I lack self-confidence. I can be tactless. I suffer from imposter syndrome. I have fear of public speaking. I'm talkative. Now, when I saw talkative being on some of these lists, I was scratching my head and I thought, But here's how HubSpot says that you could explain that. And I think they really did a brilliant job. They said, they suggest you say, "I enjoy developing a relationship with my coworkers by engaging in conversation, and that's a great team building skill. However, I have a habit of carrying on a conversation to the point where it may distract others. I have learned since then that there are other ways to connect with my coworkers, and that if I'm asking about their day, I need to keep it brief and redirect myself back to my work." So that was pretty good. I certainly wouldn't have thought of it myself. Tip number four, when we're responding to your "What's your greatest weakness?" question, Don't forget to show how you're going to overcome the weakness. Now, I have another great response, this one from Better Up. And here's what they suggest you say. I can feel timid when providing feedback to others. I never want to hurt anyone's feelings. But in my previous role, I realized that constructive feedback can help others improve themselves. So as long as I approach them with kindness and empathy, now I'm much less reluctant to help others do their best. I thought that was a pretty brilliant way to approach it. Do you agree with me? If so, let me know in the comments below. Before we get to the tip that will help anyone who doesn't have 100% of the job requirements for the job they're applying for, and that's almost always the case, we'd like to remind you that we tackle the big accounts payable and payment issues on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and on Saturdays, well, occasionally we like to have a little Wordle fun. So check out the AP Now channel of 400 plus videos to help you expand your accounts payable and payment knowledge. Tip number 5. Here's how you can make that awful "what is your greatest weakness" question work for you. That's right, you can make it work for you. Turn that lack of experience in a particular area of the job into a positive. So you might say, for example, some might consider the fact that I have never worked in this field before as a great weakness. However, I'm a fast learner and I bring no preconceived notions on how to perform my job. Then if you know how you're going to close the information gap, explain how you're going to do it. But many people have found themselves in a position where they have, hired somebody who is preset in their ways. They think that the way they did it at their old job is the way it has to be done, is the best way. And so they may be happy with this. So again, fast learner, don't forget to say you're a fast learner, and maybe you can turn that negative into a positive. That would be a great thing. Bottom line, whatever you choose, make sure not only you mention whatever the perceived weakness is, also share how you're trying to fix it, how you're trying to acquire whatever the missing skill is. And speaking of skills and missing skills, if you will, there are quite a few you're going to need if you want to work in or manage or have responsibility for either the accounts payable or payment function. You wouldn't believe all the areas you need to know about. So just what are these skills that you need to be successful if you want to advance your career in accounting and accounts payable? We recently did a video on just that. You can watch it right now using the link that will appear momentarily on your YouTube screen and is in the description below. As always, we greatly appreciate your thumbs up. They help us grow, and the more thumbs up and comments we get, the more YouTube shares our recordings with others like you who might benefit from